out today.
Use it. I will. Well, we welcome everybody. It's instantly got quiet, and I know that according to my timepiece here, it's exactly 4 o'clock. So, welcome to the Washington County Board of Commissioners meeting for today, March 2nd, 2021. We often, I neglect to mention something, that these proceedings are available on YouTube as well as rebroadcast daily on our community education channel. We sure appreciate them being here. And that's TDS cable channels 22 and 108 in HD at 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 5:30 p.m. They are also available on demand at the youtube.com community education channel as well. So we appreciate you being here. We especially want to welcome those who are also joining us on Zoom and other media that for sure we want them to feel welcomed. Having said that, we would like to begin by an invocation. Tim Martin of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, a member of the Interfaith Council as well. And thank you, Tim, for being here.
Well, I had to come because I have a beard now, because I've lived in St. George for 15 years, so I either had to grow a beard or buy a pickup. And, and if you grow it, then you want to let people see it. So. And
it's
Victor,
cheaper to grow a beard.
Yeah, one of these days, right. Yeah. It's only been 7 months, so, we got to give it time. Victor noticed my name tag. A success for Washington County, the area, was we do taxes for the old people. Volunteers do, and we do them in the senior center, which is closed because of COVID. But we were, through the Interfaith Council, able to get the Catholic Church to agree that we could use their facilities, that big Cousy Hall. So we're able, so far in February, we've already done 200 returns for seniors, and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 1 o'clock, drive through, drop your forms off, and, in light of the COVID. But it's a good service, and it's a community working together to make that happen. So,
Wonderful. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you. Please join me in prayer. Our Father in heaven, we're so thankful this day to be part of this great community. We're thankful for the sacrifice and the service for those who serve us here in Washington County. We're thankful for the staff that labor unseen and behind the works to make it all happen. We're thankful for their dedication. We're thankful for the desire that so many in Washington County have to make this a wonderful place to live, and for the accommodations that we're making through this COVID. We pray a blessing to be upon those who are suffering from this disease, from the consequences. We pray for success in the economic recovery as we try to deal with this COVID and deal with our personal relationships. We ask for thy inspiration as we each deal personally with our challenges. And today in this meeting, we pray for thy inspiration to those who might be speaking or might be presenting, and with the commissioners and all those who have to make decisions, that they might feel thy touch of inspiration in the things that they have to decide. We're so thankful for the beauty of this land, for the opportunity we have to make it better. We pray a blessing upon all those who are going to be part of this meeting today, either in the visible part or in the work behind, that they might feel their efforts were worthwhile. And these blessings we ask in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Tim. And might I add that the Interfaith Council helps in supplying us with an invocation of all the faith community here, and please extend to them our open invitation for them to continue to come, and I don't want to say take their turn, but...
Well, it is. Cheyenne hawks me to make sure, So she does a great job, and our members really enjoy it. It's a chance to show the diversity of our faith community here in St. George.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that's good.
Equally thanks to you. Pledge of Allegiance by Arthur Davis of the U.S. Air Force. Please. Good to see you again.
Nice to see you. Place your hand over your heart. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You've been here before, and we sure appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful day. Prior to the consent agenda, I just want to mention, I see a shout out to not only our senior center. Thank you for being here, representing well, and I know that our health department is not represented here. Maybe somebody is on Zoom with us, but we are doing our best to not only get the vaccine out to those who want it. We're not insisting upon it, but those who want it know they want a safe, clean place to go and get it. And just yesterday, a couple that I saw over at the Hearst stores, Ace Hardware, stopped me in the parking lot, and I thought, okay, this will be interesting, because they said, we just came from getting our shots, our vaccines, and we want to tell you that they were very nice to us. It was efficient. They were on time. They were doing their best. But I can also say that we have fielded a lot of calls from every side of that spectrum, from why are you even supplying it to I can't get it. We apologize for the weather in Nashville, which put us off an entire day and a half because they simply, due to storms, could not get our vaccine here. And then other factors such as just the minimal allocation. Boy, we would love to have had 50,000, 100,000 doses right up front. But like the rest of the country, they trickled in, and they're still coming in, and we've been asked to have an orderly way in which that would be distributed, again, only to those who really want it. And so figuring and teaming up with the state health department, decided that it would simply be a call-in. And those of you who've not been able to get a call-in or an appointment, our deepest apologies, but other than that, just having people line up would be mayhem at the same time too. So a really big shout out to everyone who's been trying to make that happen for the better health of our entire county. So, all right, our consent agenda is a means of expediting the consideration of routine matters. If a commissioner requests that items be removed from the consent agenda, those items are placed at the beginning of the regular agenda. And other than request to remove items, a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda is not debatable.
Chairman Almquist, I would like to make a
Thank you.
motion to approve today's consent agenda consisting of item A, consideration of auditor-approved claims for payment for February 17th, 2021 through March 2nd of 2021. Item B, consideration of regular commission meeting minutes of February 16th, 2021. Item C, consideration of administrative adjustments for real property. Item D, consideration of facilitation of state indigent defense grant funds for public defender equipment. Item E, consideration of facilitation of state indigent defense grant funds for case management software. Item F, consideration of adjustment to the Washington County event and equestrian fee schedule. Item G, acknowledgement of publishing notice of adoption of ordinance number 2021-1170-0 on Saturday, February 20th, 21. That would be my motion.
And I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. A motion by Commissioner Cox and a second by Commissioner Iverson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Our next regular agenda items are as follows. Number one, some of our favorite things to do and well-deserved. We'd like to have a presentation for an Employee Longevity Award. And if, Scott, you would come up, we'll join you, but please take the mic and tell us who this is for.
Yes, appreciate the words Tim left, but of Tim's prayer. for two reasons, well, for many reasons, but one, for praying for those that are sick, having recovered from COVID. I'm grateful for the prayers of those in the community praying for us. The other point leads to this is, and Tim mentioned praying for people that are behind the scenes making things happen. Doreen Bowers Irons with the Community Development Department is one of those that, you know, you could drop a bomb on the city, and in the morning at 8 o'clock, Doreen would be sitting at her desk doing what she is supposed to be doing. And she makes stuff happen. She keeps our department going. And she's very we really appreciate her. We've been a little short-staffed and had some craziness in our department, and she is a constant. She's worked for the county since 2011, and it's weird to think that 2011 was 10 years ago, but the award that she's being presented today is Longevity Award, and I just want to publicly thank Doreen for all of her service.
Well, I can not only second that motion, but for a good reason, because when I first started, one of the issues that I was concerned with was something, a mining operation, and I went in and asked Doreen about that, and she said, well, about 3 years ago, they came in here for a permit, and then on and on. I mean, she knew every single detail about something which she doesn't deal with every day, but she knew that. Mm-hmm. And so it was an amazing thing. She does have a lot. If you almost pictured a bombed out building and one person sitting there with a phone and a computer,
she'd
blue
be doing
sky
her job,
all around, she's right there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's wonderful to have those. Doreen, if you'd come up and say a few words. No, I'm kidding. And see the walking wounded. She's still here, yes. Well, please stand here. We're going to snap a picture if our camera departed. Appreciate it. Thank you. There's your... You know, outside of city employees, we also work closely with various service districts, and it's no doubt that if any of you are familiar with water or even power in some cases, but in our case, fire districts, we want to recognize those who have given a significant amount of their time and sacrifice in a volunteer basis to make sure that if there's a fire, it doesn't get much further than where it originated from. So we would like to make a presentation for an Outstanding Service Award to Steve Haluska. Steve, if you'd come forward.
I'd like to recognize all of the other chiefs and others who are supporting Steve by attending today. If you just
Please stand
briefly and show these people how many and how much support.
Well, Steve, before you say something, which we'd like you to say, tell us about the very first fire. No, I'm kidding. Here, what we'd like to do, though, is I'd like to read this. In recognition of the many years of service and dedication to the Northwestern Special Service District and Central Fire Department, we are presenting this Outstanding Service Award to Stephen Haluska from the Washington County Commission, the three of us, for 2021. Thank you. Please say something.
Thank you. What would you like to hear?
Tell us about how nice your retirement's been from Los Angeles. She's able to come up here, kick back, lay down.
What retirement?
Oh, that's the one I'm
retirement?
talking about.
Yeah, it's been busy. It's been very busy. The last 15 years it's been filled with the Northwest District, the Central Fire Department, the Dixie Deer Water District, and with some of you gentlemen with the Transportation District also. So It's kept me going, and the time has come now to go back on vacation, enjoy life, do some things with my wife. She deserves this. It's been a long time coming, and we're going to enjoy life now.
Well, Chief, I just want to thank you. This, as we present this plaque to you, it seems kind of cheap for everything that you've given to that community up there. You know, Veo is just a beautiful spot, but at the same time, you know, you're working with volunteers that are not always in the community as they travel into St. George to work, and it always amazes me the personality that you have and the people that volunteer with you have. But they're just willing to get up in the middle of a snowstorm and go rescue somebody. You know, you had a tremendous fires this year, more than one. The type of adrenaline and chaos that was going on, and you were able to save structures, save property, and keep people safe, and just a tremendous amount of time that you've given and that your family has given for the community. I mean, we're giving you a plaque, but it almost seems too cheap for everything that you've given back to this county and community. But
Yeah.
But thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
What did you say?
If you want to add something, you know,
Oh, yeah.
if there's an envelope behind the plaque, you know, that'll work.
Well, we do have a commemorative box of matches.
Oh,
That we could give you. but
Smokey the Bear
Seems,
matches?
seems weird. Please come up. So we'll take it out for a moment and let you hold it.
thank you.
All right. Well, there's a lot to be said for those districts, and thank you all for being here and serving and showing support for Steve and all the things that you do up in that area. I always thought it was kind of funny to watch an old Western movie, something maybe, you know, Clint Eastwood is in and something catches fire and all the whole town comes together to put it out. And you wonder, gee, it's built out of the most either sappy wood or tinder dry wood. The thing's going to be up in flames, but, you know, really you do that in such a great manner up there, and we appreciate your service. All right, our next item is a presentation, Victims of Crime Act, the VOCA grant. I see that our director, Christy Pike, is here. We certainly warmly welcome her from the Children's Justice Center.
Thank you, and I want to acknowledge that I brought with me Kenzie Bradshaw and Megan Bigwood from our staff, and Celinda Brooksby was going to be with us, but we had a crazy day at the CJC today, and we just couldn't break her free. So she sent her regrets. So every year we come to report on our VOCA grant. It's one of the requirements of our VOCA grant, the Victims of Crime Act grant. And before we quite get to that, I just want to go over a couple of things that just give you a review of what's been going on at the Children's Justice Center over the past year. So you remember our mission, we collaborate with multidisciplinary partners to protect each child, advance justice, promote healing, and educate our community. And last year, in 2020, calendar year 2020, our Children's Justice Center served 502 primary victims, which was almost just one more than we did in 2019, which is frankly remarkable. Given COVID and everything that happened with COVID, that particular metric was down 9% across the country at children's advocacy centers, and even here in Utah, it was down almost 9% here in Utah. So to be able to say that we stayed on par with, and you'll see all of the numbers that I share, almost all of them are very similar to what we've done in the past year, what we did in 2019. That's a huge win for the kids here in Washington County. We performed 302 interviews, 144 medical exams for children happened at the center. We did 184 traumatic stress screenings. This is a mental health screening that we do with kiddos. They had an average score last year of 20.22. Anything over 20 is considered high risk for traumatic stress. The most common allegation that we saw children for was child sexual abuse or assault, and 91% of alleged perpetrators were known to the victims. Not a surprise for many, but a surprise for others. 60% of the alleged perpetrators last year for our center were related to the victim. 32% were parents, step-parents, or foster parents of the victim. That number does not include mom or dad's boyfriend or girlfriend. And 102 of the victims that we served were younger than 7 years old. Those are some pretty tough statistics. They're tough, but they're good, and I'll tell you why they're good. It means that kids are getting help, that kids are getting services. One of the things that we're required to report to you is a description of what the allegations are that we see children at the center for. And this is just a list of the most prevalent allegations that we see, and comparing last year to 2019. You'll notice that child physical abuse, neglect went up significantly, and child sexual abuse, assault went down. I don't think that necessarily there was more physical abuse and less sexual abuse. I think that probably the reporting got skewed because of COVID. Those are for both primary and secondary victims, those numbers. But they don't give as true a picture as if we look at just the primary victims. Just the primary victims. We drilled down a little bit on those allegation numbers. We saw 426 primary victims, new primary victims, with 595 allegations last year at the Children's Justice Center in Washington County. 51% of the allegations were for they were all for child sexual abuse. But 72% of the victims had an allegation of child sexual abuse. So the skewing is that 30% of victims had more than one allegation that we saw them for. So now we're going to get into the VOCA piece of this. So VOCA is the Victims of Crime Act. It's federal money. It is not taxpayer money. It's money that comes from settlements, usually large settlements with people who violate federal laws. Our current fiscal year, the year that we're in right now, VOCA is on a fiscal year as opposed to the calendar year that the county is on. The fiscal year that started July 1 of 2020, we had $376,000 and change that was to come from our VOCA grant. That represents 55% of our overall budget expenditures at the Children's Justice Center, so you can see it is a significant piece of our budget. And that's 99% of our mental health services come through VOCA funding. And we also include, there's also victim services. We've bought equipment, furniture, pay for cell phones, pay for training, not just for our team, but for our multidisciplinary team that includes law enforcement, child protective services, our medical team, and others. Supplies. So VOCA really is a huge part of our funding. The Utah Office for Victims of Crime is the administrator for VOCA in Utah. This fiscal year that we're in right now, they awarded $27.5 million in grants here in the state of Utah. In 2022, that number will go down to $24 million. That will represent a 10% decrease for us. And in 2023, the number goes down to $19 million, which will represent a 15% decrease for us. So you can see that the funding is not going in the right direction for us. There are a couple of things that we are doing so that we don't have to decrease services. The first thing that we did was hire Megan. Megan is our newest employee. She is a mental health counselor, and a lot of the money that we spend on our VOCA grant is money that goes to paying therapists, community therapists, at somewhere between $70 and $81.25 an hour to provide therapy for people. We will continue to offer that, but it is much more cost-effective and efficient for us to hire somebody to provide that. So Megan is part of our strategy for being able to continue to provide services. She's also, it's just so awesome to have her in the building with us. As you can imagine, if you have a kid, and this has happened, if you have a kiddo who comes in and has had something awful happen and is testing high for traumatic stress and has a suicide plan and the means to take on that plan. It is just being able to have Megan come in the room and create a safety plan for that child and that family so that they can go home with their family and be safe has just been a game changer for us. We're really glad to have her in the building. So, but she's also part of our strategy for being able to maintain services on less money. After that, we have other strategies in place. I think we're going to be okay, but I needed to report to you where we were on all that. I'm going to turn the next piece of this over to Kenzie to present where we got to on our goals for the year. Now let me point out that the first number that you'll see on the screen is a goal number. We had to give VOCA a goal for what we wanted to achieve, and that is for a full year. We are reporting to you what happened in the first 6 months of the grant. So we're halfway through so these numbers should come close to being about half of what the goal was. And when they aren't, we're going to explain to you why they aren't. So I'm going to pass the baton to Kenzie.
All right, so I am one of the victim advocates. My name's Kenzie. I'm one of the victim advocates at the center. I'm also the mental health coordinator. So I'll speak to some of what these statistics mean. So our goal was 310 to refer primary victims for medical exams. We've achieved 165, which is about right on track. We normally refer every client that comes in to our center for those medical exams, and having that, our medical staff has been amazing to be able to refer them over for those. We've been able to assist with the completion of 15 crime victim reparation applications. Our goal was 50. One of the reasons why we have been a little bit behind in this goal is because of that grant that we've had, the VOCA grant, where the crime victims reparation helps pay for services that have happened due to a crime, whereas we have the grant that has not been necessary for our clients to apply for that. I'm seeing that we are getting cuts in the future. We have started to implement more of the crime victims reparation forms, and we'll be utilizing that more often. We have helped assist with 11 child protective orders. Our goal was 15, so that puts us well ahead schedule. We did one last week, which isn't included in that, and we have one planned this week as well. So we're well ahead of schedule for that. And most of them were approved as well. Provide information on victims' rights. So this is when us victim advocates sit down with the parents and go over information about resources, what the process looks like. We talk about community resources and ways to support their child during this time, and really just be there to be someone that they can talk to and express any concerns. We are ahead of schedule for that. We have achieved 129 with a goal of 198. Which this is a lot the same, provide information of what to expect during the investigation. This gives the parents the opportunity to talk to us about what the next step is from here, how to help their child during the investigation, what to say to your child during the investigation. So we have achieved 157 with a goal of 223. And then that traumatic stress screener Christy was mentioning earlier, one of my main roles at the center is to administer that and then to review the results with them. We have administered 107 with a goal of 210, so that's about right on schedule. This screener tool has been a huge benefit to our center as well, in order to know how it's affecting us. Between January and February, our kids are still screening within the high risk range as the average score as well. So having these resources and VOCA has been very beneficial to us. We had a goal to contract with 3 therapists, school-based therapists, to be able to go out into the schools and do therapy with kids. The goal for that was to make it more accessible for the kids to have therapy. That being said, we have achieved that because of COVID and everything and our cutbacks. We have only done 2, and also to secure those funds, we hired Megan, of course, and that has been a way that we have secured to keep those funds. And yes, and so I'll just let Megan the rest.
Hi, I'm Megan Bigwood, and I've been just with the CJC for a minute, and I just had to say and mention that this place that is available within the community is incredible, and the people that work there are so invested in their mission. It's been amazing. So I'll talk a little bit about the contract. So the next slide here talks about the goal was to have 2,746 hours of direct individual therapy for primary and secondary victims. And the number looks kind of small, and there's reasons for that, I think. 545 hours. And we want to add maybe about another 100 hours because there was another about 100 hours that came from different funding that's not added to this. But it's still kind of a low number. And I think that, and we have to think about it this way as well. That's 650 sessions one-on-one with a child, with a family member. So amazing. And also, one of those reasons is because COVID. I think pandemic has created some barriers that we've had to navigate through. Another one of those reasons is that now that we contract with therapists within the community, and so they've had it's been a struggle to, it's been a struggle to have those therapists that are contracted and to get those, because the pool is kind of empty a little bit, or there's a lot of need. And so to have someone on staff, a clinician on staff, is going to help bring up those numbers as well. The second one here, and I'm going to go back to the slide as well. What's a silver lining to this number is also some of the funding set aside for this has been able to be utilized for our MDT to attend the Dallas conference and get more training on child abuse and how to work with that. And then this side, our goal was to provide 50 hours of therapy to our MDT members. And so this 50 hours was kind of allocated so if it was needed, it would be available. And we're kind of excited about the 5 hours that have been used. But also what I've been doing and have been able to do is to do more training to give those services to first responders that have ongoing trauma that's going on. So thank you very much.
All right, any questions or comments or?
Well, you know that I was given this assignment 2 years ago when I first became a commissioner, and my eyes have been opened about what things are going on in the community. But I want to stress on this very last slide, for lack of a better word. I want everyone here to kind of get the perspective that first responders see a lot of things they wish they never saw, or they hear testimony, or they have to deal with victims, and it's especially hard if it's a younger, as you say, kiddo, but even teenagers that are seniors in high schools that come forward and deal with those things. But I also want to say that those that work at the CJC are also traumatized to a certain extent. If you picture your staff day after day, and according to your numbers, 3 to 4 times a day, hearing a story, trying to give help, I mean, that is taxing in and of itself. And so I would hope that, and I know internally, and I think you're about to say this, I would hope that you take that multiple disciplinary team and extend it to yourselves. Because who do you go to? You've been hearing this testimony firsthand and in depth, and with weeping parents and traumatized kids that are innocent and don't understand what's happening, and 100 plus of them under the age of 7. that wears on you too. And it's hard because you can't go home and somebody says, "How was your day?" How did you do today? And it's, you can't talk about it. You can't name names. You can just try to get comfort.
So one of the things when I started in this job that I love, by the way, was I started studying something called resilience, and I've done quite a bit of research on it, and there were studies that were done specifically on children to figure out what made kids resilient. How could some kids bounce back and others didn't? And they thought that they were going to come up with a menu of a couple of dozen things that, you could check off this menu. This and this and this will be great for this child. And what the conclusion was, there were really only a handful of things that kept coming up over and over again as creating resilience, and two that stood out the most. And one was relationships, and the other was a sense of purpose, being needed. And so if that's good for kids who go through hard things, that's good for adults who go through hard things too. So we have, we do have therapy hours that can be available for anyone who is on our multidisciplinary team. So we said law enforcement, child protective services, who, by the way, are unsung heroes. Our staff, our medical staff, anyone who serves on a prosecution, they see some horrific things as well. So any of us can have those therapy hours. But we also have done some things in-house to help. We have something called couch time, and as long as you aren't with a client, if one of us is having a rough day, or we just heard way more than we wanted to, not more than we wanted to hear, but a lot. If things get to be a lot, we'll say, "Hey, I need some couch time," and we will all just stop what we're doing, again, unless we're with a client, and sit down and chat and talk through it until we're laughing, and then we'll go on with the day. So that kind of being able to be there for each other since we can't take it home, that helps a lot. But also having the sense of purpose. This is amazing work that we get to do. We are honored to stand in this space. It's a privilege to be able to work with the people who we work with, and to see these kids and to watch what can happen when they have the opportunity to tell their story and have the resources they need to be backed up. And so that feeling of having a sense of purpose is something I wake up with every day, and so does the staff. So thank you for acknowledging that, Commissioner. I appreciate that, and we work on it. It's intentional, and we work on it. So,
Christy, I'd just like to thank you. You do a great job.
oh, thank you.
Really do. I have one question. In this
Yeah.
time of COVID, when we're really social distancing,
Yeah.
and I was surprised actually that our statistics are where they're at.
Yeah.
Are we isolating these victims in a way? I mean, traditionally, how
Word.
it really
Our
is.
attorney, can you find a different word for signing a contract?
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good to see you.
Our contract, we've had in place a contract for 5 years with Valley Foods, doing business as Trio Community Meals. They've been tremendous in providing us with good tasting, quality meals. Even the challenges of the meals, or some of the meals are having to be made just because of logistics. They have to be made pretty early, 5:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock, so we can get them on the trucks and get them going out. The last truck leaves about 9:45, so 10 o'clock. So they have their challenges, and they've exceeded. And we're just doing a 1-year extension on our original contract. Wanted to point out, normally we do after each year we do an amendment, and they include it's typically between 4 to 6% on the consumer price index increase. And this year they have elected to not increase the price. So we're doing a 1-year extension with a no price increase. So benefit for us and benefit for the seniors, and still able to provide a quality meal for them. So all around win-win.
Thanks, Jake.
Thank you,
Any
Jake.
questions?
Appreciate it. No, that's great, especially given the prices of everything. In order to keep them flat, it's good. So,
Been a challenging year everywhere, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It sure has, yeah.
Well, thanks for what you do.
well, with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt or execute Resolution R-2021-2733, a resolution approving the Washington County Council on Aging Agreement to the food preparation agreement with Valley Food Services, Inc., execution of the same, signing of the same.
As long as we're not really executing anybody, I'll second it.
Okay. I think we're clear on that one. Well, we have a motion and a second for item number 6. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Item 7, consideration of resolution R 2021-2734, a resolution approving a juvenile appellate public defender agreement for indigent defendants in the 5th Judicial District Court.
Is that me?
That would be you, Brian.
Yes, so as the commissioners are aware, the county provides attorneys for indigent defendants in district court and in juvenile court, and we provide an indigent appellate attorney to make qualified appeals in district court and in juvenile court. This is an agreement. We received grant funding from the State Indigent Defense Committee to hire an appellate attorney for the juvenile cases that need to be appealed. So that's what this agreement is for.
Instead of a prior focus on either direction, this is focusing on the juvenile side.
Well, yeah, and we don't have
The appellate.
all that many juvenile appellate cases. And this particular agreement is from January 1st of this year through the end of June of this year for that 6-month.
Okay.
And we do have 2 coming up or approaching, so this was really good.
Great.
Mr. Chairman, this is the last week of legislature session, and right now today, one of the things they're working and discussing is indigent defense grants, funding for that, for public defenders. So I hope they're all able to work through those intricacies of legislation and keep some of these great programs helping us help our defendants. I would like to go ahead and make a motion to approve item 7, consideration of resolution R 2021-2734, a resolution approving a juvenile appellate public defender agreement for indigent defendants in the 5th Judicial District Court.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that motion.
Thank you. A motion and a second for item number 7. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Item number 8, consideration of resolution R 2021-2735, a resolution to support the High Desert Trail letter to the Bureau of Land Management. Leslie. Came in off the trail to...
I was zooming in and then it dropped me. So
Okay, well, we're glad you're here.
otherwise, I like the touch-up feature and Zoom and things. This is just, the county's previously committed to supporting the High Desert Trail. Of course, it goes up the western side of the state through numerous counties. This is a joint letter from multiple counties to the state BLM requesting that they consider and giving reasons why a categorical exclusion to allow the trail to start being marked. Carcinites and such.
Well, marking it'd be great, because as you and I have looked at, there's a lot of little roads that go everywhere, and then some of them are dead ends or end up in private land, and so it's nice to have it marked and let it get the proper use, and
Absolutely.
wonderful. Thank you.
This is great. I don't know how long the High Desert Trail has been on the to-do list, but I know it was spelled out in the 2009 lands bill, but I think it predated that by quite a few years. So it is good to finally get it marked. I believe most of the trail is on existing roads. So all of it's on existing roads, so it's just a matter of signs so that people don't get lost. So, Mr. Chairman, with that, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution R-2021-2735, a resolution to support the High Desert Trail letter to the Bureau of Land Management.
And I'll second the motion.
Awesome. Motion and a second on item number 8. Thank you for your work on that, Leslie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Item number 9, consideration of resolution number R 2021-2736, a resolution approving a memorandum of understanding between Washington County and the Red Rock Rotary Club of St. George for ticket admission assistance at the 2021 Washington County Fair.
Hello, Commissioners. For the past 15 years or so, the Red Rock Rotary Club has helped at the county fair. In exchange for their help, we give them a percentage of our admission fee, and so we're just continuing on since we have a new admission process to the fair. We won't be doing parking. It'll be free parking with a gate admission. So we're continuing that relationship with Red Rock Rotary and would like an approval for this resolution and memorandum of understanding.
You know, Victor, would you take a second and explain how really reasonable the cost still
Yeah.
is relative to a car and...
Exactly. So the parking is going to be free, which will allow people to come and go. And then it's going to be $2 per person, $1 if you're under 12, and then $5 for families. So we feel like, and that would last for the entire day. We're also going to, be working with the schools, and there's going to be some promotions and some things that'll. Well, the internet's
We'll
down,
talk
so
about
nobody's
it
going to
later.
hear us anyway. But there's going to be some accommodations as well. Now, having said that, people need to understand that the gate fee goes back to helping book acts, concerts, different types of shows, awards that we bring into the fair. So people are really just contributing a small amount to make the fair better and better every single year.
Yeah, and
course,
that Rotary portion stays
back.
here, stays back in our community because they filter that back out to their grants that they give to their local nonprofits as well.
Right.
So
Yeah.
And the
they-
Rotary does such a great job. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work for them to organize and to get the volunteers out there. They do it. They've done it for numerous years. They do it with such a degree of professionalism and just community spirit. I just highly, it's just a great relationship that we have with them. So
Well, and I helped one year. I was not a member of that Rotary Club, but I helped at the gate just to, and some of the mayhem was, now granted, we'll see how this turns out. We may go back to the other way of doing it, but a mom would come and drop the kids off to the fair.
Yeah.
And say, I'm just dropping them off. And they don't necessarily want them to walk all the way from the, parking entrance to the fair. And now we're past that, and it'll be, we still don't want any mayhem with driving and craziness out there. And
Right.
we're gonna, I appreciate your suggestion of putting up some more barricades and direction so that there is a possibility of a drop-off or what have you, and we'll see.
and this will also allow people to come in and out throughout that day.
Yeah.
Whereas where they're paying for parking and they came back, they'd have
Pay
to pay again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, thanks to you too, because earlier we, had in the purchase request that, the amount, 48,000 or something for all the sound and equipment and all of that. But the animal noises are still free.
Those are all free.
Those are
Yes.
still free. Okay.
On any part of Legacy Park, you can hear them
Okay.
at any part.
And
I'll
I-
even make any kind of noise you want, Commissioner. I mean, just
Just
I
pass
can,
it.
yeah.
And if people didn't know, it's going to be on April 14th through the 17th this year. So hopefully the temperatures will be better and people will be more excited to be at the fair. And
Yeah,
Spend more time.
42 days away.
now I'm a little bit worried about the snow cone shack people. I mean, I don't know if we're going to sell as many snow cones.
I don't know, but I have 3 of them. So they seem to think it's going to be okay.
That's
If I could
great.
get 3 snow cone people, I think that's a good sign. They're saying the weather is going to be good.
Well, I'm holding you to that, Susie. I woke up in the middle of the night
But Nicole controls the weather.
thinking
Yes.
about the weather and how this is going to work out. And so even subliminally, I'm dreaming about the fair and how it's going to run off, but I know it's in really good hands.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
Thanks for all of your time and attention with
Thank
it.
you.
Put the snow cone shack right next to the spicy chicken.
Oh,
They-
there you go. It's a
different
smart
kind
idea.
of heat. All right, well, we'll look forward to a motion for item number 9.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion in support of consideration of Resolution R 2021-2736. which is a resolution approving a memorandum of understanding between Washington County and Red Rock Rotary Club of St. George for ticket admission assistance at the 2021 Washington County Fair on April 14th.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you both. Motion and a second on item number 9. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Unanimous. Item number 10, consideration of resolution number R 2021. Thank you, Susie. Thank you. 27 and 37, a resolution approving the renewal of an agreement between Greater Zion Convention and Tourism Office and Love Communications for marketing agency services.
Commissioners, hello.
Sarah? Hi.
As you know, you've heard the Love Communications title from us previously. We are currently working with them on a project basis as they kind of oversee our cooperative advertising, and that was in reference and cooperation with the state advertising that you guys have made reference to even in this meeting. So this current contract that's before you employs them through April, or starting in April, and continuing through the rest of the year to oversee our ad buy and to make adjustments along those ways, make recommendations for that ad buy, be strategic and all that, use all the numbers and resources that are at their disposal, and to continue to optimize that to bring the right kind of people to our area.
Good. I understand that Love is also the same firm that the state uses?
Yes, they are the agency of record for the Utah Office of Tourism as well, and we see benefit with that as well because we get to compare apples to apples, being on those same reporting metrics and kind of have an insider look at what the state is doing too.
And we also have adjusted this in this COVID time and moved away from our previous advertiser to take something that we can have a little bit more control on. So
that is correct.
Well, very good. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution R-2021-2737, a resolution approving the renewal of an agreement between Greater Zion Convention and Tourism Office, Love Communication Marketing Agency.
And I'll second.
Awesome. So, motion and a second on item number 10. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? 0. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day.
I'm not sure who's speaking to the next tourism item, so don't move too far from that, Mike.
Well, we're going to put item 11 at the end. No, okay. Item number 11, consideration of resolution number R 2021-2738, a resolution approving an agreement to host a small market conference between the Greater Zion Convention and Tourism Office and the Small Market Meetings Conference. Very logical.
How are you?
Good.
Brittany, how's it going?
Last the best of all the game, right? So Jacqueline Grena in our office, our meeting and convention salesperson, has been working on a bid to host the 2024 Small Market Meetings Conference in September of 2024, a few years away. And they have accepted our bid, so we are wanting to move forward with a hosting agreement, which right now looks like a $125,000 commitment, along with some other types of services that will be required to provide once they get here, like comped meeting room space, a welcome banquet, those type of things. So we're just looking to get that agreement approved and the payment approved at this point, but we will also be seeking some co-funding dollars from the state for this conference, as well as some outside sponsors. And I think that we'll be able to get that. It'll take us a couple of years to get there.
So it's my understanding that this conference is really for people that help put on conference.
Absolutely.
So,
Yep.
yeah, it gives them an opportunity to come here to see our facilities. And clearly, as I look at the list of other places that this is at, we outshine all of these
For sure.
places. So,
Yes. We're really excited for that
We're going to really
opportunity.
rock this,
Yeah.
this conference.
And these are planners that plan meetings in destinations that are similar to our size and facilities that are, the same size as like as the Dixie Center. But we'll also have the opportunity to showcase a lot of other facilities in Washington County as well. And this is something that we've hosted, not this exact type of event, but something similar back in 2000 and in 2006. And we still see events that return because of those conferences.
be sure and take them out to Legacy because I know that's one of your favorite spots.
It is
Maybe
one of my
you can
favorite
talk about,
spots.
you know,
I spent a lot of time there.
how you built it with your own two hands.
I drove the
as
tractor,
a new
I moved the
employee
barrels,
of the county.
yes.
Yes, okay, very
for
good.
sure.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion in support of Resolution R 2021-2738, a resolution approving an agreement to host a small market conference between Greater Zion Convention and Tourism Office and the Small Market Meetings Conference.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second on item number 11. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 12, consideration of resolution number R 2021-2739, a resolution appropriating expenditures of funds collected as Washington County's share of the Recreation, Arts, and Parks sales tax. Brian.
Thank you, Commissioner. So as you know, the county participates in the tax for recreation, arts, and parks. We've created the Recreation, Arts, and Parks Tax Advisory Board to give advice on cultural organization groups that are requesting that RAP tax funds. They have to be a nonprofit organization whose primary purpose is the preservation or advancement of arts in some form. 2 weeks ago, the list came before you as recommended from that board, but there was one organization that was inadvertently left off that list, and we apologize about that, so this is an attempt to correct that mistake. And that was a request from the charitable contributors to the library system, a nonprofit organization that likes to advance reading and the arts of literature, and they've requested $2,200 for that purpose. And so this request is the RAP tax board voted on that to make that recommendation, but it was just inadvertently left off the list, and so it's coming before you to add that to the list that was approved last week.
So that's not actually from our library, it's from another organization. Do that.
Correct.
Thank you for that clarification.
And it's my understanding, Mr. Chairman, that this is a particular program that takes older books and repurposes them into art. And I don't know, I was going to make a crack about using Dr. Seuss books, but it's too soon. So anyway, I don't know if we're going to have to, make sure the content is appropriate in the books they use. But anyway, no, I'll back up. I'm glad the internet's down. It allows me just to kind of, of course, we do have Maury over here shaking his head. So
It's back up.
oh, it is back up. Well, I'll start guarding my words a little bit more.
But this might be a good reminder to all of us to speak like the internet is watching.
No, but it is pretty cool. They display some of these in our libraries, and if you've gone into them, they are very artistic and creative, what they do. So anyway, with that, I think it's my turn, and I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution R-2021-2739, a resolution appropriating expenditures of funds collected as Washington County's share of recreation, arts, and parks tax.
I second the motion.
Motion and a second. So the gist of what you're saying is don't take a nap because on tap is the rap?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, in Dr. Seuss' honor. Having said that, motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All righty. Let's see. Item number 13, consideration of resolution R 2021-2740, a resolution approving an interlocal agreement between Washington County and the City of St. George for support of the public transit service to and from Zion National Park.
Commissioner, I'd like to speak to that. This is a process that's been ongoing for a couple of years now, and I'm really pleased to see that significant strides are starting to be made. This agreement would be between Washington County and the City of St. George, whereby the 0.25% sales tax that was passed by the County Commission over 2 years ago, 40% of it, or 0.10, would be and is dedicated by the state statute that enables this tax for use of public transportation. Some of our communities in the county already have a public transit system or are served by one, and so this would only earmark those funds that are not so served, and the county collects that 40% on behalf of those communities that do not have it. This agreement with the city would pledge the county to the city for that, up to that 40%. And of course, it's a 10-year agreement. We've got an award from UDOT, $15 million. This is something that really a unique opportunity for us. And the way that we've been able to study it and work it out with growth in our economy, the 40% of that 0.25% meets and fills that bill very well. But this agreement, and one of the things that we've struggled working with the city on, and I'm so pleased how nice they are to work with, is to just in case something happens and it costs more than that. And this agreement directs the county and the city to come together, work to find a passable solution that will work for both entities to keep the system viable and the bus running. And so
Awesome.
I would, if there aren't any questions,
No, you've
I would
given
go ahead
us
and make a motion in support of R 2021-2470, a resolution approving an interlocal agreement between Washington County and the City of St. George for support of public transit service to and from Zion National Park.
I'll second that motion, and I'd just like to thank Commissioner Cox for his hard work on this as far as putting it together. It seems like we've been working on this project as long as we've been working on the high desert and getting the Dalton Wash Road deeded over, so it's good to check another one off the list, and appreciate Commissioner Cox's hard work on this.
Thank you.
Wonderful. I'll take that as a second. Appreciate your help in both areas because the whole east side gets opened up better and less traffic. It's been a long time coming, like you said, Commissioner. Thank you. So we have a motion and a second on item number 13. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 14, consideration of resolution R 2021-2741, a resolution approving an interlocal cooperation agreement for medical surge and event equipment, distribution, and joint response and operations. I see Chief is here as well as
Jason.
Jason, there you are, hiding. But please, whoever wishes to, or one at a time, whatever, address this, that'd be great. Cody's here too. Boy Bryant. Chief, thank you for being here.
No problem. Thank you, Commissioners. This agreement allows us to look at the distribution of the surge equipment that you tasked Hurricane Valley Fire to acquire on behalf of the county. We'd like to get it out, distributed, and being used. Working with legal, Brian came up with a wonderful agreement for us that allows us to track that equipment, set the parameters at the beginning of the process so that there's no question of how that equipment is expected to be used. This agreement is approved. We'd like to use that and would act on behalf of the county to execute that agreement with the other departments or cities that participate in that equipment distribution.
Very good.
So if I just might add, there's a sample of the agreement that's between Washington County and Hurricane Valley Fire, but then, as Chief said, that then all we would have to do is change the name to the other entities receiving the equipment. And the way I drafted the resolution is that the approval today would allow us to do that and enter into that agreement moving forward and using that template, just changing out the names for the other entities receiving the equipment.
So with the assets that have been purchased, my question is, Hurricane Valley takes possession of those and then distributes them in the other locations that are needed, or
Sub-assigns.
or signs or executes?
The way I read this agreement, Brian can correct me if I'm wrong, this allows that agreement to be between the county and the entities. So we did the purchasing on behalf of the county, but the distribution, we will still help manage the maintenance.
Oh, you'll
and the
manage.
other stuff
Okay,
we
very
took
good.
care of, but
And
the,
that's great.
Individual entities are responsible for maintenance, insurance, and disposables.
And rotation.
Thank you for
Exactly.
your help and
Keep things ready to go.
assistance with all of those
Yes,
purchases.
thank you.
It's very valuable.
Yep, couldn't have happened without Hurricane Valley Fire. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Anyone else from the EOC wish to add to that?
Oh, very good. Well, with that, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution R-2021-2741, a resolution approving an interlocal cooperation agreement for medical surge and event equipment, distribution, and joint response and operations.
And I would second the motion.
Motion and a second on item 14. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, thank you. Well, we're down to our commissioner's report, unless there's anything else that our attorney can put in here legally. Okay. Victor, do you have a commissioner's report?
I'd just like to say pray for rain. We're in a serious drought.
It's getting
It's dry
worse.
out there, so.
Okay.
I have no other business.
Just real quickly on a historical note, over at the Confluence Park, there was an electrical power generation equipment building there that served, what, Laverkin, Hurricane for years?
Well, it was running for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember as a little kid hearing it.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, we went over there with the State Historical Society and I think the state government. Yep, the officers, and they were there and they were wonderful. They were intrigued by it and look forward to some restoration there. We can credit Commissioner Iverson and a lot of other local volunteers who have cleaned up, repaired an entire wall that had fallen down, and even found the brick to do it so it doesn't look like a patch. But you wouldn't know really that where they repaired the building, it wasn't the original. But it was quite a wonderful day, learned a lot about it, and I think the Hippo people loved it as well. And it is part of our history. I'm all in favor of getting rid of old things that my wife encourages me to do. But history of our county, and I was thoroughly intrigued by that equipment and a glimpse back at what the pioneers did and how they got water here, or used water to get power here. So I would say probably one of the first hydro power plants in the state. So having said that, we'll conclude this meeting. A repeat that these are rebroadcast and look forward to seeing those if you wish. Concluded.
Thank you all.